For those of us who have watched this show since the glorious 80s and 90s, the current WSB storylines often bring a wave of nostalgia, but they also remind us of the high standards set by the golden era of soap operas. Do you remember when Frisco first joined the WSB? The secrets, the lies, the way his undercover life completely shattered his romance with Felicia, that was a direct masterclass in long term storytelling. What we are seeing today with the younger generation feels like a direct echo of those historic storylines, but I must ask, are the writers truly respecting the decades of history that paved the way? When I look at the sudden arrival of the mysterious Hudson and the way Josslyn is being pulled into this dangerous web, I cannot help but think of the classic espionage plots that defined our afternoons. The WSB has always been a shadowy organization that demands absolute loyalty, often at the cost of personal happiness. And now, I believe we are on the precipice of a massive reveal that honors those classic tropes while completely flipping the script on a legacy character we have watched grow up on our screens. Let us talk about Hudson. This corporate executive recently arrived in town, and his presence immediately caused Ethan to flee in an absolute panic. But Hudson is not just here to chase ghosts of the past. He has already crossed paths with Josslyn, sparking a mutual attraction that feels far too convenient to be a mere coincidence. Josslyn, with her newfound WSB connections and her insatiable curiosity, has decided to make Hudson her personal investigative case. But what if she is walking blindly into a trap set by a man far more dangerous than she realizes? This brings me to a theory that has been keeping me awake at night, a theory that perfectly aligns with the rich history of character integrity on this show. I firmly believe that Hudson's arrival is not just a new chapter for Josslyn, but the ultimate harbinger for the highly anticipated return of Cameron. We have all wondered why Cameron has been absent from Port Charles for so long. Yes, we were told he went off to school, but in the world of daytime drama, off-screen time is rarely just about academics. What if Cameron has not been sitting in a quiet classroom, but rather undergoing rigorous, top-secret training for the WSB? Imagine the sweet, dependable boy we all knew Elizabeth's pride and joy transformed into a highly skilled, hardened operative. It would not be the first time a legacy character left town as a naive youth and returned as a formidable force. If Cameron has been operating overseas on covert missions, it completely explains his prolonged absence and sets the stage for a spectacular, dramatic re-entry into the lives of the people he left behind. Now, if we accept the premise that Cameron is a fully trained WSB agent, we must also acknowledge the strict, unyielding protocols that govern the Bureau. As veteran viewers, we know that the WSB does not take kindly to fraternization or emotional attachments that could compromise a mission. We recently saw this exact rule enforced when Josslyn's budding dynamic with Vaughn was abruptly halted due to strict agency regulations against romantic entanglements between operatives. If Cameron is indeed an active agent, he is bound by these exact same rules. He cannot simply waltz back into town, flash a badge, and sweep his former sweetheart off her feet. His life, his identity, and his mission must remain shrouded in absolute secrecy, even from the people he loves the most. This brings us to the crux of the current mystery. I suspect that Hudson is not just a random executive passing through, but a high-value target that the WSB has been tracking for quite some time. And who better to assign to this target than an agent who has natural ties to Port Charles? Cameron might have been following Hudson's movements overseas, and Hudson's sudden arrival in our beloved town has forced Cameron to follow him home. But here is the brilliant, agonizing twist. Cameron cannot blow his cover. He cannot march up to the authorities or to Josslyn and announce that Hudson is a dangerous criminal under federal investigation. Doing so would violate every protocol he has sworn to uphold and potentially put the entire operation and Josslyn's life in jeopardy. The situation becomes infinitely more complicated when we look at Hudson's behavior. The man is charming, enigmatic, and he has clearly set his sights on Josslyn. As we have seen over the years, Josslyn is drawn to danger like a moth to a flame. She believes she is the one investigating him, completely unaware that she might be playing right into the hands of a master manipulator. If Hudson truly is the sinister figure the WSB believes him to be, Josslyn is in grave peril. She is flirting with a man who could destroy her, all while thinking she has the upper hand because of her own secret WSB affiliations. It is a classic recipe for disaster, one that requires immediate intervention from someone who truly understands the stakes. Enter Cameron. If my instincts are correct, Cameron will return to Port Charles not as a savior in shining armor, but as a man playing a very dangerous game of emotional chess. He sees Hudson circling Josslyn, and he knows he must intervene. But how does an undercover agent protect the woman he once loved without revealing his true identity or his mission? He does what any desperate, resourceful spy would do. He creates a diversion. I predict that Cameron will intentionally insert himself between Hudson and Josslyn, using the one weapon he has at his disposal, their shared history. I believe Cameron will adopt a completely unexpected persona. Instead of the supportive friend from her youth, he will suddenly become the aggressively romantic suitor. He will intentionally spend every waking moment with Josslyn, openly flirting with her, and publicly declaring that he has realized his true feelings for her after all this time apart. To the outside world, and most importantly to Hudson, it will look like a classic case of a hometown boy returning to claim his first love. But in reality, it will be a calculated tactical maneuver designed to keep Josslyn occupied, distracted, and physically away from Hudson's toxic orbit. Oh, the delicious angst this will cause. Just think about the psychological toll this will take on both of them. Cameron will be forced to play with Josslyn's heart, using genuine emotions as a shield for a covert operation. He will have to look into the eyes of the girl he has always cared for and lie through his teeth, pretending his sudden romantic interest is purely driven by passion, rather than a desperate need to keep her alive. This is the kind of rich, character-driven conflict that defined the super couple era. It requires a delicate balance of deception and devotion, and it places a tremendous burden on a young man who is sacrificing his own peace of mind for the greater good. On the other side of this emotional battlefield, we have Josslyn. How will she react to Cameron's sudden, intense pursuit? Knowing her fiery temperament and independent spirit, she will likely be thoroughly confused and perhaps even resistant at first. She might view Cameron's actions as simple jealousy, assuming he is threatened by the sophisticated, mysterious Hudson. She may even accuse Cameron of trying to control her or drag her back into the past, completely oblivious to the fact that he is standing between her and a loaded gun. It is a tragic irony that the harder Cameron tries to protect her, the more she might push him away and run straight toward the actual threat. If you ask me, this potential storyline is a brilliant way to weave a complex love triangle that is built on stakes far higher than mere romantic rivalry. We are not just watching two men fight over a woman, we are watching a covert war play out in plain sight. Hudson, the smooth, dangerous target, versus Cameron, the undercover protector hiding behind a mask of unrequited love. And caught in the middle is Josslyn, a young woman who thinks she is playing a spy game of her own, completely unaware that she is the grand prize in a much deadlier contest. This is the essence of long-term storytelling, taking characters we have known for years and pushing them into extraordinary, high-stakes situations that test their core values. Let us take a moment to appreciate the character integrity this brings to Cameron. He has always been a protector. Whether it was looking out for his younger brothers or standing by his friends during their darkest hours, Cameron's fundamental nature is to shield those he loves. Having him join the WSB and take on this agonizing undercover mission does not change who he is, it amplifies it. He is still the boy who would do anything for Josslyn, only now he is doing it with the training and discipline of a federal agent. It is a beautiful evolution of a legacy character, one that honors his roots while propelling him into a thrilling new chapter of his adult life. Of course, the inevitable climax of this storyline will be the moment the truth is finally revealed. When the dust settles and Hudson is exposed for who he truly is, how will Josslyn handle the revelation that Cameron's entire romantic pursuit was a calculated WSB operation? Will she recognize the profound sacrifice he made to keep her safe, or will she feel betrayed by the manipulation of her feelings? The fallout from this deception could either forge an unbreakable bond between them, creating a true modern super couple, or it could shatter their relationship forever. The anticipation of that emotional explosion is exactly why we tune in day after day, year after year. As a lifelong fan, I sit here marveling at the endless possibilities. The potential return of Cameron as a hardened WSB operative, the dangerous allure of Hudson, and Josslyn's unwitting role as the pawn in their covert war, it is a recipe for absolute television magic. While we wait to see if this theory comes to fruition, I remain steadfast in my devotion to this show. The faces may change, the stakes may escalate, but the thrill of a beautifully crafted mystery remains the same. I will be watching every glance, every whispered conversation, and every stolen moment with bated breath, knowing that in Port Charles, the truth is always far more complicated than it appears.